computer. Hey there, KC here at Home with KC. Welcome. I am a personal trainer and real estate agent, and I am joined by Elyssia Maya, who is a food relationship coach. And today we are going to be talking about hydration. Why, what do we drink, blah, blah, everything you want to know. Elyssia, welcome, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Always fun to be with you, Casey. Good
All right,
topic today. Really appropriate. It's super hot. We need our hydration.
Yeah, so right before we started, we were talking about how hot it was and what happens to our bodies when we do not have adequate hydration. So just to cover a few facts before we get started is that our brain is 80% water. Okay, so we're talking about why hydration is so important. Our lungs, 90% water, bones, 30% water, eyes, 95% water, heart, 75% water, muscles are made up of 75% water, skin, 64% water, and the blood that flows through our brain veins is 83% water. All right?
Wow.
That's why staying hydrated is so important.
Yeah, so that we hear that like 70%, but that's the breakdown of how much water is in all the different organs, like as much as 83%.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about we were talking about the potted plant. So you were talking about a potted plant, right, Elyssia?
Yep. So, when you think about, we have this, okay, try and drink half your body weight in ounces a day. And, you figure out how much that is. Are you going to guzzle it down like in the middle of the day or the end of the day all at once? Imagine if you dumped all of the water a plant needed, at one time onto the plant. It's going to just overflow. Like the water's going to come out of the soil, right? Because it can't absorb it. So we want to think the same thing about ourselves. We don't want to dump a bunch of water at one time. We want to really sip water throughout the day. We want to make a habit of, hydrating continuously throughout the day.
Right. So that our body absorbs it. So now I think there's a lot of things that happen to us, our body symptoms that we might have that we don't associate with the lack of hydration. Headaches, the onset of migraines, being grumpy, moody, not motivated, being constipated, being hungry, being achy. Those are all symptoms of lack of hydration because, again, as I mentioned, our body's 70% water with all the organs kind of combined together. So it's critical that we adequately keep the hydration flowing throughout the day, right?
Yeah. And I wanted to show everyone, they say we lose 2 to 3 quarts of water a day. And that's when we're not even being active or when it's not hot. So just as a visual, this is a Brita filter pitcher. It's this tall. 2 quarts. This is only two quarts. I don't know if you can hear me through the Brita. So that's half the pitcher, right? And that is equivalent to like a normal size water bottle like this, 2.5 bottles. So you at least have to drink that much to replace like what you're losing.
Just
so
to
we
stay
don't think about that. We're actually, because our body is, water is almost like energy. We're using it. Our cells are using it. We're also like, excreting it too.
Yeah. Well, and as a coach, I did a lot of training, coaching for triathlon, endurance sports. So hydration can affect performance. So as we lose water through sweating and as we're going along, we need to not only replace the water, but also the critical electrolytes, sodium, potassium, and those type of things. So because without potassium, our heart won't function, and we need the electrolytes in order to maintain balance in our body. So that can also be affected. So now we're talking about, well, what will we hydrate with? Right?
Yeah, and the water with electrolytes is one like positive version of hydration, that can actually make it taste better, and you'll get those minerals and nutrients, electrolytes that you need. So that's one of like what you can hydrate with. Yeah. Aside from pure water, right? Just pure water.
Well, because pure water, so, because our blood is 83% water, when we're dehydrated, that blood becomes thicker and it becomes sluggish. So water, by hydrating, it moves oxygen through our bodies. And that's another really important reason why to hydrate. And we're talking about it now because it's summer and it's hot. So the number one liquid for hydrating is water.
Regular old water, yeah. And
Regular
spring
old
water is, from a natural spring source, great. Oftentimes that's bottled. There's a website called findaspring.com, and you can go and find a spring near you if you do want to try and get like free natural spring water that has the minerals in it.
Wow. Now, and that's really valid. Now, I have a Brita water filter, so I filter all my water. So, not everybody, let's just have a disclaimer, not everybody in the world has access to really great water that's clean. Yep. And that can really...
4 in 10 countries don't have access to clean water.
Yeah, and that's something to consider. We just go to the tap, get the water. So that's also something to consider. But a Brita water really is going to filter out everything that comes in the water. So we're talking about sources of water. Then we're going to talk about how much. So Elyssia touched upon that, half your body weight in ounces. But water is the number one source. Another great source of hydration is decaffeinated tea. That's loose leaf tea. Green tea is high in antioxidants, so you can have decaffeinated tea. I shot a video today that showed turmeric, ginger, steeped in water with a little bit of decaffeinated green tea, which is really a great source of antioxidants, but it's a great way to hydrate if you're like, I can't take any more water, right?
Yeah. Or you could, you could try adding fruit to your water, lemon, lime. Lime and watermelon and mint are really cooling. They cool the water down too, so you can kind of tailor your water to the season or just add fruit to make it taste good. So it's good to play around. It doesn't have to be just plain water, right? Yeah. But yeah, you do want to keep it a plant in there, and you don't want it to be caffeinated tea because that's dehydrating in itself, right?
Yeah. Well, and then speaking of fruit, adding to water, there's a lot of fruit like watermelon. It's in season right now, and the majority, 95% of watermelon is water. So eating fruits and vegetables that are have a higher water content can also aid or help in hydration. So it doesn't, you don't necessarily stuck with that. Also, too, you might try, people talk about Gatorade. Gatorade is a source, or Gatorade type of drinks are great for delivering sodium, electrolytes, which help with muscle function and things like that. You just got to be cautious about the sugar content, right? Yeah. So that's really important. And also when we're out and about, when it's hot weather, when we're dehydrated, water helps to regulate our body temperature. And when we're dehydrated, we can get too hot. We're too hot at our core, then we can get into some trouble. So you want to think about that. Other forms of hydration are, again, we talk about, well, we kind of briefly mentioned milk. Because some
might
kids,
be a controversial source of
might be a controversial source. But for young kids who don't really like to drink water, milk has some protein and some vitamin D, so it can be, with the little ones, but you might consider that. And
if you think about it, it's from a cow, right, or a goat, and like that whole, bodily fluid that they're making, that is what we call milk, contains water too, right? Because it's part of their, like you're saying, like blood is 83% water. I think it was that. Yeah. So the milk is containing water too. Yeah. But we want to be careful, for those milk lovers out there that, they hear like, oh, milk's hydrating. Okay, I'm going to drink glasses of milk in place of water. We don't want to do it in place of water. Yeah.
Well, and then speaking of, there's coconut milk, which really a lot of people are drinking. Coconut milk is about 95% water, but again, you want to look at the ingredients, look at the sugar content. That's the thing that will get you with that. There's a lot of potassium in coconut water as well. So, people think about having that as an alternative. But there are liquids out there that we all enjoy so much that are very detrimental to us and are not hydrating at all. The number one, soda. Yeah.
Soda.
Yeah.
Which
Sugar,
has caffeine in it a lot of times too, or can have caffeine in it. So.
Yeah. Well, and then of course caffeine being that ingredient that'll take liquid, it's a dehydrator, right? So it takes liquid out of your tissue. It is a dehydrator. So we were talking, Elyssia gets up in the morning, drinks a big glass of water. I'm like, give me the coffee. So, but considering we have
hydrate before you dehydrate, ideally,
yeah.
right?
I want to dehydrate before I hydrate. But yeah, it'll make you feel better. It'll feed your organs, and it really will start the blood, you know, your system rolling. Good, because if we're not flushing out our system, because water helps us to lose weight, it helps us with constipation, to eliminate, helps with the joints. It's important to do that. Another
super easy tip for eliminating in the morning is drink a glass of water with lemon, right? Like a lot of people know that first thing in the morning.
Yeah. So, and maybe you get in a water habit, which we're going to talk about, because alcohol, right? So the higher the alcohol content in beer and wine and hard alcohol, wine has 12%, you know, is like 12%, 10 to 12% alcohol. So it's going to be more dehydrating than a beer, but your hard liquors are going to be even more dehydrating. So rule of thumb, hydrate prior to drinking and then have a glass of water in between each drink. So,
and the same with coffee, you know, coffee is just a regular part of our day for a lot of us, but, you know, supposedly we're supposed to have like double the amount of water, you know, that we have coffee. So think of coffee, alcohol, all as drying and dehydrating. We need to hydrate extra.
Yeah. And so talking about timing. So I'm about to go work out, I'm going to hydrate. I'm about to go to a party, I'm going to hydrate a little bit, because if I have a drink or two, I want to be hydrated. But before meals, we were talking about drinking water during meal times, before, after, or during. So Elyssia had some really good advice there.
Yeah, ideal time would be 30 minutes, you know, like glass of water, like 8 ounces, 30 minutes before a meal is going to lubricate your digestive tract to make it easier, you know, for all the digestive juices to be working properly and everything to flow through. So you're also buffering acid in your stomach when you're adding water. And because the stomach acid is naturally there, but it's nice to give it like a lubricating buffer. So before meal, and not a ton during the meal. We don't want to water down our food too much. Like I think we've all drank a lot of water or some kind of beverage and eaten and felt really bloated. So before, sips during, to help our food go down is ideal.
And that's really important, the timing of which. And speaking of being bloated, now there's other types of water that are really popular now. It's the carbonated water that has a little hint of fruit. There's the mineral water, the soda water, the seltzer, the tonic. So bubbly water is just regular water that's been carbonated, right? And so because it's been infused with air and that carbonation, your body's not really going to absorb it. So it's not really a great form of hydration, and can make you feel bloated, right?
We want to think of it more as a soda substitute, you know, a treat versus what you're hydrating with.
Yeah. And then you have the natural mineral spring water that comes from the earth that has, you know, that has a little bit of carbonation, but has minerals in it. And then of course the tonic, right? So if you're mixing drinks and you're getting gin and tonics or vodka tonics, tonic also has a little bit of carbonation, but it does have quinine, great for malaria. It's not going to kill you, but it also, tonic water has sugar, right? And that's one of the things that we want to be mindful, right?
Yeah. Now I'm going to totally do a little close up here so I can plug my phone in.
There
my
she
device
is.
in, so I don't, there we go. So don't leave us.
Great. So, I mean, so hydration, drinking water, plenty of liquids. Does everybody need the same amount of water every day? A good rule of thumb we mentioned earlier on is half your body weight in ounces. And as Elyssia showed you, how much water it just takes to, just for everyday activity, just to maintain. Now, if you're a man and you got more muscles, men versus women, their hydration needs are much greater, right? Because they have more lean mass, so more muscle, and it is also made of water. So your needs will be a little bit different. So, you know, just be mindful of it. Perhaps going for a run, you can weigh yourself before or after and really get an idea of how much liquid you are losing or how much of your body weight you're losing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to kind of replenish, but also think about the electrolytes and the sodium and potassium, all the things that make us feel good. So
a little tip I wanted to share about like amounts, like, because you have to find a vessel that works for you for water too, right? So whatever your favorite
Yes.
water bottle is, you know, if it's too big, like a lot of people have these huge ones, but then it doesn't fit in your cup holder in your car, so you don't take it with you, or, you know, the bottle's too small and you have to fill it a lot, so then you don't do it. So I think it's really key to find a vessel that works for you. And tip I like when you find it is to like figure out how many ounces of water you need to be drinking a day, ideally, you know, over an average. Put like a little tape on your bottle and then like tally, you know, the like, okay, I need to drink 4 of these bottles a day. That'll equal my weight in ounces. So I found that to be a really good like tip.
that is
Or, you know, setting a timer on your phone, watch, time, you know, whatever, or like an app that reminds you to drink water like throughout the day. So just wanted to share that. I think that's one that works for people.
And that's a great tip. I have an Nalgene bottle that I fill several times a day. I have Brita water that I store in a gallon jug. But so again, we hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, you know, message us here. But again, optimal health requires us to stay hydrated. So with mental alertness, physical mobility, capability, feeling good about our you know, our body functions and movement are really tied to hydration because of what we're made of. So Elyssia, thank you again for joining us in our talk about hydration.
Thank you, Casey.
At ElyssiaMaya.com. I'm Casey, at home with Casey. You can see my YouTube channel, Casey Carlberg, or Facebook, or Instagram, or any number of ways. But again, we thank you. We appreciate it. If you have any questions for us, please DM. You guys, thanks for joining us. You have a great day. Stay well, take care, and we'll see you again next time.